Hello and welcome, everybody. What's going on? We have a banger of an episode for you today. Hayley Rueger joins me. It's fantastic. We've been trying to collaborate on something for the past 5 years. We met at YouTube Space LA, the most collab-oriented environment you could ever ask for. And this is it. This is the first collab, and it's a wonderful thing. It's beautiful. I really enjoyed talking with Hayley. She's just so honest and so sweet and so genuine, and I'm just so happy that I have a friend like her, so I'm very happy she's on the show. In other news, we got merch, baby. NickolasNatali.com/shop. Get yourself a Burb Life sweatshirt. We got pins, too. You can put them on your jacket. And stickers. Oh, man, I haven't shown anybody yet, but the stickers are available. They're live. I've ordered mine, and I love them. I got one smacked on the back of my laptop. They're the perfect size, too. They're not too big. They're not overwhelming. It's a good fit, you know? It's a real nice fit. They stick. They do their job. Anyway, also, there's a... No, I'll just let you have it. There's a surprise in the middle of this podcast that I really think I think you guys will find interesting. All right, enjoy the podcast, and please leave a review. And the podcast is trying to grow, so if you can share this with a friend, if you learn something, if it resonates with you, if you just enjoyed it, please share it with a friend, and I will see you on the other side of the podcast. All right, bye. Hello and welcome. This is the Nickolas Natali Show. I am your host, Nickolas Natali. We have a the most special guest, Hayley Rueger. Season's greetings, Hayley.
Season's greetings. Hello, everyone.
Hello. Man, this is like a long time coming, huh? This collab.
Seriously, what is it, like 5 years, 4 years?
It's been 5 years, and I hear if you've been friends for 7 years, you're lifelong friends. Like that's when it's forever. It's when you're locked in.
Okay, so I'm gonna head out.
I'm gonna call it quits right now.
Yeah, just right before that 7-year mark.
I mean, that's pretty smart. I'd probably try to take like the next 2 birthdays to at least get some birthday gifts out of it. But then
That's true. Well, I don't do gifts. I do roasts. Remember?
Oh, is that gonna be a forever thing?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm locked in for that.
Yikes! Do you enjoy it? Do you feel more loved or spited after your birthday roast?
Here's the thing. So for my birthday, I don't like attention. In general, I don't like attention from a lot of people unless they're like teasing me or making fun of me. But all
Oh,
my friends were like mad that I wasn't doing like a birthday party or anything. So I was like, okay, well, we can do the roast of Hayley Rueger, and you can all
wow.
come and roast me, and it was great. So
Man, teasing is your love language.
yeah,
That's good to know.
I think it might be, honestly.
This whole next podcast is just going to be me insulting you for
Just
an hour and a half and you loving it.
I'm, I'm gonna walk away feeling so loved. It's gonna be great.
Man, Nick really knows me. He made fun of me the whole time.
That's that's what I'm here for. That's what I thought this was, honestly.
Right. It's a podcast roast. That's not a bad idea. Just like bring people on and they have no idea what the podcast is about and just hurl the torch
I
them.
I kind of love that, and honestly, I don't know what we're talking about, so that could very well be,
You know
what's
what?
happening.
Let's get into it then.
All
Let's
right.
let me tell you what we're talking about today. We're
Okay.
talking about talking about a lot of things. Okay, so first of all, I'm gonna say I wanted this to be a conversation wrapped around like social media, right?
Mhm.
But like I just can't stick to that topic with you. Like there's so much to you that I just cannot wait to talk about. But the first one
Okay.
being is you're born and raised. I'll say Torrance so you can say it. You're born and raised in T-Town.
T-Town! Thank you so much.
Oh man, represent. And so being born and raised in T-Town, I think to myself like, oh man, I wonder if she's met any celebrities. But the further I dug, you not only have blue check marks following you and things like that, but you spent an
No.
entire day with One Direction and
Oh
Jerry
gosh.
Springer
That's
because
right.
you won a contest because contest because you created an anti-bullying campaign. What is that all about? That's insane.
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, If you do your research on T-Town and you look for the celebrities, you would know that I am the celebrity of
Oh,
T-Town.
right. Your
I
face popped
am,
up right away when I
yes,
Google searched
I
it.
am Torrance's finest, hometown hero. No, nobody knows who I am, and it's great. Um, no, yeah, that was that that was great. So that was when I was in like peak um One Direction obsession. And here's the thing. I
Oh.
was 16 when I like fell in love with One Direction, and I was
Mhm,
17
mhm.
when we did that
Ooh,
broadcast. And I don't think that there's anything like more of a rite of passage for a girl than being just obsessed with a boy band, or like
right.
just like some sort of like celebrity crush. But yeah, so that was great. I entered this contest with Office Depot and One Direction. I made
Mhm,
a
mhm.
video like using their products, like how I would use them to do this anti-bullying campaign, and then yeah, I won, and I met these amazing girls, and I'm still in contact with a couple of them today. It was just honestly like a really cool weekend. It was really fun.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah,
insane. So
yeah,
you like I can just imagine because I had a fandom of Ariana Grande that was through the roof, and
uh
I
huh,
don't know. Like realistically, I think I always like in my head talked about to my self talk is like, man, if I met her, like, oh, I would swoon, you know.
yeah,
But being right next to them, did you were your nerves there? Were you going nuts? Did it feel real?
yeah,
Did it be like, oh, these guys are just people and I should stop this fandom?
yeah. That's the thing. I think when I was 16 and like first got into them, I would have like just been, starstruck, but I
Mhm.
don't. I think I'm like I was 17. I was grown. Okay, I
Oh
was
yeah.
I was an adult. No, but I think like at that point it was like I kind of I hadn't grown out of like totally loving them, but I was just kind of like a little older, and it was more just like this is a really cool
Hi.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they were really nice, and I don't get starstruck anymore. Like I just don't. I
After that
work.
moment.
No, not after that moment. I think just like because I have been in situations where you know what it was when I was a teenager, I was all about like networking. So like even how I met
Mm.
you at YouTube Space, like I would meet a lot of like celebrity YouTubers or whatever. And this was back in like I don't know 2013,
The
2014.
boom. The boom of the
Yeah,
tube.
yeah, yeah. It was like when people were like just becoming like influencers.
Mhm.
And so I met a lot of them back then, and I think I was just like because I was around it, it didn't really like it. And like now I work with professional athletes, and I don't get starstruck. So it was just cool. They were nice. It was cool. It was fun. I was just living it up.
Yeah.
It was just
Taking it
really
all
fun.
in.
Yeah, exactly.
That is cool. Well, I'm glad to hear you see them as people now. Because my next one was like, you met David Henry from
Yeah, I
Wizards Away
did.
Place, but
Hmm.
that I mean, I learned that through a story that you told me, not the
Yeah,
research. But what I did find in the research was somebody had posted on your wall, like when you're 13 or 14 or something on Facebook, and you're like, wow, he's so attractive. And I want to know if that there was a little bit of that when you met David Henry, which, if you don't know, people at home, Justin, Wizards of Waverly Place, like, come on now.
I don't remember someone posting that on my. Did I say that or did they say that?
They posted the picture of him, and you said, "Wow, he's so attractive." The whole interaction was just kind of odd, but
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, yeah, I mean, the fact that I was probably like 15 too, and he was like, I don't know, 21 at that time. I don't know how much
yeah,
older he is. Um,
35,
no,
45.
no, he's pretty, I think he's in his late 20s. No, there wasn't like, that was another thing where I won a random contest. I got to FaceTime or Skype with him, and, he was working with this, makeup company, and we talked about like, you know, like I think I was like a good demographic because I was a college student, I think I was
Yeah.
sophomore in college. And then we started talking about like our faith. We got on the topic of faith, and then he invited me to like this Bible study that his friend like put together. And so I actually spent some time going to that regularly, and I met one of my really really good friends through him. So I don't keep in touch with David anymore, but he's like married, has a kid, he has his own really cool
Life
life
going on.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, there wasn't like a. I didn't meet him, and I wasn't like, oh my gosh, I think he's a handsome guy. But at that point, I was
Yeah.
like, this is a dude who's that
Yeah.
wasn't where my mindset was. That was very 15-year-old Hayley, I think.
I'm starting to realize you're a big contest person. And the fact that you keep winning these contests is it's kind of impressive.
Yeah, I think I don't know why. I won another one too. I won like this corksicle contest with Bethany Hamilton, and I got like
What
free
the?
corks. I don't know why I win like these random contests. But like
I,
since then, I haven't won any. So and like but I do win scratchers a lot. Like I win like $5-10 on scratchers.
oh,
Yeah,
hey, I'll take it. Any
I'm here
W is
for
a
it.
good W.
I know.
Maybe it's just you stopped entering them. It's not that you're not winning them anymore. Maybe you're starting to feel bad and you want to give back to your community. Let the rest of T Town enjoy some wins in the contest realm.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe I'm like I should let like 15-year-olds meet One Direction at this point and not me.
Yeah,
Maybe
which makes
23
sense.
is a little too old to be uh, entering
Hey,
these kind of
23 is
contests.
never too old. Don't even get me started. I already feel like a geezer.
How old are
Um,
you?
I'm 23.
Oh.
I just hit there. I just hit it, but I feel like I'm ready for retirement sometimes. You know what I mean?
Oh, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know what that's from, but
No.
I'm sure I'll do some research on myself later and see if
Yeah.
I can come up with a
Yeah.
solution to my age
Yeah. We don't have
self
to get into
ageism.
that. Yeah.
You're right. Okay. Now we're going on to music, and
Oh.
you come from a musical family, which is
Mm.
pretty dope. I know you have three older brothers. I don't know how many of them play, but I do know your dad helps produce a lot of your music, and he
Mhm.
was like always playing the classic rock growing up.
Mhm.
Um, so then, you know what? Let me see if I get this right. And you tell me. So you went to film school in San Diego, and then you're like, eh. And then you switched it to business, and then you're like, eh. And then you spent like a couple months really taking music seriously.
Mm.
Um, did you feel like you had to be something once you started focusing so much on music?
Like, did I feel like I like had to make it a career?
Like, be famous. Like, yeah, I
Mm.
think more of like the pressure of being famous, being so close to LA, and then
Yeah.
also just like that seems like I don't know, like a lot of the
Yeah.
creative space and creative crafts like end up we get those mindsets of like, oh man, the only way I'm successful in this is if I'm famous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Here's the thing, like I think Torrance, T-Town is
T-Town?
thank you. is Torrance is great because it's not in like this it's in like LA County, but it's not in the city of LA. So we don't I mean like there's like pressures, in every hometown in Torrance, like they call it like the city with a hometown feel. So it's like
Oh
it's
wow, that's their
like
slogan.
I mean no, it's not, but it was like our
No.
Snapchat geo filter and then they painted
Uh,
and then they painted it on the side of our Taco Bell. Like I don't know why.
oh wow,
So it
I'm
became
the
a
best
thing
restaurant in Torrance.
in T-Town. Yeah. Um no, but yeah, so like I mean there are pressures and like it's kind of a bubble the whole South Bay is. So there were pressures of its own, but I never felt like oh, I live in LA, I need to be something because I'm like this creative and whatever.
Hmm.
I think when I was a teenager, I definitely wanted to be famous. A lot of my like I loved writing music, but also I was like I want this to be my career. Like I remember like crying, talking to my parents, like, let me drop out of high school and do homeschool so that I can focus on music. And they were like, no, like they were like, you're
That's
not,
hardcore. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I'm actually really glad that they didn't let me do that because it's not what I want to do as a career now.
Yeah.
But I think like during that stretch in college is actually interesting. I didn't feel really a pressure to like make a career out of it or, make myself known or anything. I actually was kind of just trying to like it again. Like I don't know what happened when I was in high school. I loved writing music. I wrote a new song every week, like no problem. I mean, I don't know how to say this, but it
The
came easy.
creativity was flowing. Yeah.
Yeah, it just came easy to me. And then I went to college and it just didn't. And it was really frustrating. And so, in that whole space between leaving film school, where I, switched to business, that was at the same school, and then starting at community college for a little bit, I just I was kind of just like, can I write one song that I actually enjoy? You know, like,
Yeah, yeah.
and so that was kind of my goal. And then I went back to school and then ended up transferring and kind of found a path that made more sense for me. So
Do you still play for fun?
I do. Yeah. I don't, I feel like that mindset, it's been hard to shake. Like, honestly, like the past 5 years, like since I started college, it's been hard to write music that I actually like am proud of or enjoy. But I think that also comes with just like putting more pressure on myself than I did when I was 16. You know, like it was just
Yeah,
fun when I was 16.
yeah. Or is it just like the perfectionism, or just like the harsh self critique in you that is like suffocating that part of music?
Yeah, I would say that it's like this self critique. Like
Mm,
I mean, I think when I write stuff and I show my parents they like it, my friends like it, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'm never gonna do anything with it because in my mind it could like be better, and then I'm like, it doesn't matter. It can just be fun. It doesn't have to be perfect. But I don't know. So I kind of just it's until I love it again, I kind of keep it to myself, you know.
yeah. Um, I get that. I think that's really hard. I've been doing something very similar with so one of my New Year's resolutions was to do this podcast every week and create
Mhm.
a video every week. And then in the video, like creating, I try to make it more funny, but it's come to a point where I'm like critiquing them so hard,
Yeah.
and like I keep trying to tell myself, like, dude, this is the thing you're supposed to be doing for fun,
Yeah.
like you're already doing a bunch of other stuff that you don't like to just to survive, or
Yeah.
have a living, but it's like this is the thing that you like, and now now you're taking the joy out of it. You can't do that.
Yeah.
um so I totally resonate with that.
Yeah, it's super weird how we like I
um
mean, these things
Sweet.
that start as just like, oh, this is an interest, a hobby, and then we get like super passionate about it. And I feel like, at least for me, like as soon as it turns into something that's like I have like I'm the same way like with my videos. Like I have a game plan. I have videos right now. I have stuff that I want to put out there, but I don't because I'm overthinking it, or I'm like, I don't know, like it just stops being fun because I'm making it too serious. You know, you and I have talked about YouTube and how, you know, it's just I feel like it's a common thing for people who make videos or make art or make music, whatever, and put it out there. Like I start to overthink it, and then even though I have like all these plans and in my head I'm like they're really good, my friends might tell me they're good, but then I just don't do anything with them. I don't put them out there because I don't know why, but it's like, and you overthink it, and then nothing is ever posted, and I don't know. You start to think like, well, it doesn't matter. Like no one's, it's not life or death if it's out there, you know.
Yeah, and I feel like I get the most when it comes to like posting certain things. I think I get the most concerned when I'm like mixing up my style. Like
Mhm.
when there's an idea that I want to do really bad, but like the past 6 weeks I've done this one style of video and it seems to get a good feedback, and then I'm
Mhm.
like why am I putting so much pressure on this to like be so afraid to switch it up? It's like
Yeah.
your audience typically, or like the people you're showing it to, like they keep coming back because they like your stuff and they like you.
Mhm.
um so I don't know, it's a bummer to overthink creativity, because it's like I think when I see other people's things, like when I see your type of creativity, I'm always like, oh man, like Hayley's so creative, I love that she does this and all of these things. But then when you look at your own stuff, it's always like magnified. The critique is
Yeah.
30 times more harsh. And
Yeah.
then that's why everything gets left in the freezer.
Yeah. We're our own worst critics, and it's like that's like a blessing and a curse because it, you know, forces us to do better, but also it sometimes forces us to do nothing. You know, like we'll create and then do nothing with it, you know, or don't make anything at all.
Yeah. And I think lately I've been like trying to have the mindset that this is like one of those weird things where it sounds bad, but like somehow it's reassuring. Like I've been posting things with the idea of like in a year from now, people probably won't remember that I posted that. So this is good. This is a
Mhm.
good learning experience for me, that to put this out there that I can learn from. So next year when I am
Yeah.
posting stuff, it'll be better. And
Mhm.
I've been trying to live under the scope of like most most of the embarrassing things that I remember about myself most of the time it's probably just me that remembers those things. So if something
Oh
really
yeah.
sucks, chances are it'll probably blow over.
Mhm. Yeah. Absolutely. I like that mindset actually. I've been trying to think of that like with my social media, just like Instagrams and stuff. It's like, first of all, no one really cares. Like nobody does, like
Yeah.
it's a picture or a video or whatever. And also like it I don't know, like you're saying, like a year from now, but also just a couple days from now. No one's gonna
Hmm.
be thinking about, you know, a picture you posted or anything like that.
Right. But there's like the flip side of it is like everything that you do create still matters though. Like the
Mhm.
value of what you're creating doesn't go away and the value that you're giving to the people that are seeing it doesn't go away. It's
Yeah.
like you still have influence for your audience, but you have to be able to not get in the way of yourself so that you can do those things almost.
Yeah.
It's a weird.
Yeah. It's weird, and I think like for me, I've been thinking about that a lot. So like I mean, it's different like with my job obviously, like what I do for my job matters in a different way because it's for the company and like that stuff matters to me.
Hmm.
But on my personal stuff, I've been trying to like think with whether it's YouTube or Instagram or Twitter or whatever, like I've been really trying to like think about my intentions behind posting and uh I don't know, just am I what why am I doing this? Am I doing this because I want, I mean, most of the time like if I post something to Instagram, it's because I have something I want to say. And so I just
Yeah.
like my caption is where the reason I'm posting it, like if it's
Yeah.
a nice message or whatever. But sometimes it's like, am I just doing this to get attention? Am I doing this? Like it's, I don't know. I feel like that's a good way to kind of gauge what we're posting. And then, but when it's, your YouTube or your job or whatever, it's a little different because it's, um, you're trying to build or upkeep a brand.
Yeah. That's very true. Um, Man, I'm just trying to think like, because I ask myself those questions too right before I post something, and
Hmm.
um, my I'm always like, well, if you're really gonna post, like, why don't you tell them, like that they're loved and they're valued? And it's like, it's okay to be funny, like
Yeah,
not all of my posts have to be, um, so in depth, but like
yeah,
it's like even those things, like, why are you posting it? And like those are always great questions to ask, and I try to do the same. I just like
yeah,
I can almost never justify it to myself good enough though, so I think that's the
yeah,
same self-critique, and that's another hindrance that gets in the way. It's like,
yeah.
well,
Well,
well
that's
then go ahead.
no. I was just gonna say, like, that's the flip side. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I ask myself those questions and stuff, but also, it's not that deep. It's just
Yeah.
social media, Like, and if you think this was a fun picture or a cute picture or whatever, and you want to post it, like, it's it really doesn't have to be that deep, and that's also what I think about before posting. I'm like, I think my main thing with that is if the intentions are because I want to post it, and whether that's for other people to, read the message attached with it, or
Hmm.
because I just think it's a fun picture, a fun memory, or it's, celebrating my friend's success or whatever it is. Um,
Yeah. Hmm.
or I just like it, and like it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
that deep. I don't know. But I think like the main thing for me is like because social media is we get wrapped up in like our attention and our gratification. That's like the big thing that I'm like, okay, let's step back. Am I doing this just because I need some likes to feel good about myself? That don't post it, like
Yeah.
then that's stupid.
Yeah.
Not like saying people who do that are stupid because I do that, but you know what I mean. Like that's a
Yeah.
stupid reason for me to post because I know better.
Yeah, to find your value in that stuff. I think
Yeah.
there's like the pros and cons of social media are always like, I think the biggest cons for me is like my FOMO, like, oh, but
Mhm.
what if I miss something my friends did? But it's like, why? Like, if
Yeah.
you were really friends, they'd probably text you that they were doing it.
Yeah.
Or just I think the other thing that I'm starting to notice more, like, for whatever reason, comparison hasn't always been an issue with me, but now I think it's more of like the addiction, like
Mm.
the inability to not check. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? I think like those are cons that really stand in the way of my. But like on the flip side, it's like really great because
Yeah.
you keep in touch with friends that you don't always get to. But what I'm
Yeah.
curious to hear your opinion on is how would you define success for social media in a personal sense and like you're saying in a company sense, like
Mm.
branding?
Yeah, I feel like this is like a job and like I've literally had this
Where do you
question.
see yourself in 5 years?
No, but like when you're getting interviewed for like social and marketing jobs, like they ask you these kind of things like what's success? I don't know. I mean, I am lucky to work with um really creative people and really people who trust my creative um control. Like I do a lot of copy for social, um,
Mm-hmm.
and they just trust me with it. And I learn from them, and they, also let me learn from myself, and so I can kind of see what's working for our brand and what isn't. And I think from that standpoint, um, you know, I don't. Part of my role really isn't like the um, analytics or the metrics or anything. I kind of am more just like the live. I check live like what our engagement is and stuff.
Oh, that's fun.
Um, yeah, so I mean, I couldn't give like full reports on how we're doing, but that's kind of like I can look back on a tweet on the brand site and see like, okay, I could have, you know, s-
Done
zhuzhed
X,
that
Y,
up
or
a
Z.
little bit.
Yeah.
Like I could have made that a little spicier for,
Yeah.
like, I could have made that better for the fans and our audience too. And it probably would have gotten more engagement. But I mean, yeah, I think from a brand point, you kind of just look at engagement. You look at um, I wouldn't. I mean, followers, yeah, but I really think it's in the people who are actively
Yeah, the
engaging with you.
community.
Yeah, and I think like my biggest thing, because I've been doing social for, uh, I mean, since my
Pre-K.
junior, since pre-K, I came out of the womb doing social media. Um,
iPhone in hand.
that's right. Um, no, but I've been doing it since I was in school, and I think my biggest thing has always been have a real relationship. If you're a brand, have a real relationship with your followers, because people can sniff out, you know,
Fake.
they can sniff out fake, yeah, and they know authentic from not. And um, I like to just have fun on the brand account with our people. Like a lot
Yeah.
of my job is going and looking at our followers' tweets and what they're saying, and they get excited when there's engagement there. So I mean, and they don't know who I am. I'm just
You're the
I'm,
LA
I'm
Kings. You're the
well.
Angels.
I mean, I'm neither of those, but
Yeah.
but I'm just kind of behind the scenes. But yeah, I think on a personal level, I don't know, it's weird. I literally when I and I'm thinking more like Instagram, like because that's kind of what I use the most. When I post to Instagram, I don't. I guess I check after I post, like, to see if I'm getting, likes and stuff, but usually there's, like, one person that I want to like it, and I don't really
Oh
care
my
about
gosh.
anyone
Are you
else.
kidding me? That's your success if I get that
No,
one
no,
person.
no. No, I'm not saying that's my success. What I'm saying is I don't, like, look back and see, like, "Oh, this only got, like, 47 likes," or whatever. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
that doesn't matter to me. Um, I literally don't look at the number of likes that I get. I just kind of, like, I don't know, but I'm not going to deny that there's like you do get like a gratifying,
Oh yeah.
high from
Hmm.
getting engagement from people. But I don't know what makes you successful on a personal thing. I think I've kind of like my mindset of social has just kind of changed over the years, and I'm kind of just like, this is my page, this is what I post. I don't really care if you follow or not, like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
trying to just let it be what it is, and uh not make it such a big deal.
That's smart. I
Yeah.
think I think it yeah, I think the strategies are much different between branding with like a company and a brand than
Mhm.
personal. I feel like the personal side is more like mental, emotional, and the brand side is like pushing sales and engagement.
Yeah.
but I do want to talk about the company side again because of I just feel like the brands on Twitter are wildin'. Like,
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
what is up with that? Like, Wendy's is just like the level of savagery
Yeah.
among brands now. I mean, one, it's incredible to watch, but two
Yeah.
is like I'm like that's how they're choosing to break out in the social space, and it
Yeah.
is nuts. Like,
It's
when did that become okay?
I don't know. And like I I always find it interesting which brands like because I see like in the sports world a lot obviously there's a lot of like roasting between brand,
Yeah, yeah.
team Twitters
Teams,
and stuff. Yeah, and like
trash talk,
yeah, and like that's it's makes sense because it kind of has an established uh it's already an
kind of
established
competitive.
thing.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. But then when you see it like from restaurants and stuff, like I don't know, I think um it's just interesting to see and I don't even know. I
it
don't even
feels more
know.
scandal like or
It
taboo.
does. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like Wendy's and Burger King going at it, or I think I've seen like Pop Tarts getting a mix of stuff, and I'm
Yeah.
like, how does Pop Tarts have a Twitter account?
Yeah.
Kool-Aid Man, I see him tweet, "Oh yeah," like 40 times a
Yeah.
day, and I'm
I
like,
know.
I'm like, this is
Is that all he tweets?
this. You know what? I can't say I follow him, but I see a lot of "Oh yeah"
Nice.
tweets.
They're always promoted too.
Yep,
They really
exactly.
are busting through the wall of my timeline. I'm like not expecting and there it is.
Oh yeah, and then wham, incoming Kool-Aid Man.
I love it.
But it's really though like it's great free advertisement for them if they can get like enough people wound up in what's going on
Yeah.
or like whatever they said that's
I
savage. Like honestly, I probably am more enticed to go to Wendy's because of their Twitter being
really
savage, and that's well, yeah, I honestly, yeah, because if there's a Burger King and a Wendy's next to each other, and Wendy's won the roast on Twitter, I just have a little bit more respect, and I'll probably go.
that's so funny. See that like for me it's so funny cuz I don't like I don't know, maybe I just like my things and I don't really like it's weird. It's weird to work in social and then I understand marketing and stuff like that and I don't that just it doesn't have an effect on me. Like I see that I'm like, okay, I still don't like that's not going to make me want to go out and buy this like unless I'm craving a Pop Tart. And I almost don't know like are
Yeah,
they I know that I think that there's different approaches for it and I think that's just to get more traction. I wonder if it's not even to get more people to buy their products.
buy.
It's more just let's
Yeah,
build our following through this comical kind of voice that we have here.
yeah, I agree, and it's for sure all a game, and I don't think I would I don't think I'm succumbing to the game
Yeah.
as like kind of what you're saying of like, oh my gosh, they're so funny, I'm gonna buy it right now.
Yeah.
But I do think it has like a tad bit of influence. And the most interesting thing is, so I've been trying to. I've been trying to kind of watch like how companies do advertising and target specific people and like what makes people want to buy their stuff.
Hmm.
And like it seems like all of these companies are using this type of funnel that'll lead them to eventually buy a specific product, and they'll show you the same product 6 times on your timeline until you click on it. And then once you get there, you get upsold another product, and it's like, man, like they have got this down to a
Yeah.
science. Like this social media is like the tip of their funnel to take you all the way through to buy
Yeah.
something. Like I think those big companies like that are very
Yeah.
strategic. Like it's savage and it's funny, but like you're saying, like the comedy is to pull you
Yeah.
in.
Yeah, and I think that there's a thing I mean, one of the first things I learned about in college in my social media courses was like brand loyalty and like how do you get your
Mm-hmm.
followers in and in for life. And I think a lot of their these tactics that you're talking about keep customers around for life because like I said, like it makes them feel connected and an authentic kind of thing. And I think that's like kind of a plus to these silly and like
Mm-hmm.
little Twitter feuds and stuff because it's all I think good natured. Like yeah they're competitors but like they're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
um I think,
Cutthroat.
yeah, yeah. I think, I think it just gets, I mean, it reels people in, and I think it's a, it makes them feel more like there's a person behind the brand, So,
Yeah, I agree. Which is, it's kind of crazy to think about brand loyalty because I for sure like like if I feel like there's a company that's giving me a quality product, like odds are I'm willing to pay more to have the quality
yeah,
product. But for example, I saw a video, like a viral video or a video, whatever it was, on Hydro Flask and how like their manufacturer sells them in bulk for $4 and they're being upsold for $50 to us as consumers, which I get that that's the
right.
business, but that means there's other people ordering from the same manufacturer that's probably right next to Hydro Flask, but I'm going to choose Hydro Flask
Yeah,
because it's the brand I know.
yeah. Isn't that wild?
And that's weird. It's, yeah, yeah,
It's crazy
it's
that we
very,
have, and we just like in our brains, we just justify, even if we know it, we're like, yeah, but I want this one because it's just weird. Humans, we're just sheep.
yeah, it feels that way at
Yeah,
times. Big woolly sheep.
honestly.
And it's, I think the other side is social too, right? Like if they can make it cool enough to make me feel cool when I have it and
Yeah,
make my friends make me feel cool cuz I have it.
yeah,
It's an endless cycle, it really is.
yeah, yeah. It's definitely, I mean, like you're saying, it's all a game. They know what they're doing, and we know what we're doing, but we're doing it anyways. It's just,
Yeah.
I guess, consumerism, it's just part of it.
Amen. Amen to consumerism.
Well,
Okay. I want to ask you more things.
ask me 'em.
Um so the thing that I'm intrigued about,
Oh boy, you're laughing.
I'm not laughing. I'm laughing, but I'm not laughing.
Okay.
So you did competitive figure skating for 10
I
years,
did.
and my first question is, how do you get into figure skating in Southern California? How how you know?
So many people ask me that. Well, I think I had a birthday party there when I was like 6 or 7.
Oh dang.
And then I just, I don't know. I was playing soccer since I was like 4. And,
Hmm.
every little kid plays AYSO, Um,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I wanted to try figure skating after my birthday party, and there's a rink just like a couple blocks away from me. Um, and I started group lessons, and then I found my full time like one-on-one coach, and
Coach.
I was with her for the entire time. We're still very close. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, people ask me that all the time, and I really have no other answer other than I was interested in it, and then I liked it, and then I liked it more than soccer. So
Boom.
I started doing that.
Hmm.
Yeah, and it was really fun. It was a really fun way to um, express myself and be creative and get my exercise in, and it was different. I like that I did something different, and
Yeah.
I was not a super competitive kid. So team sports, like I was like into it, but I didn't have like the same like aggression that other girls in soccer
The
did.
edge.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
kind of like figure skating. Yeah, you're competing against other people, but it's so individual. You're just trying to keep leveling up on yourself.
Yeah. How how demanding of a sport is it? Because it seems like it's very difficult.
Yeah, yeah, it's demanding. I had an interesting experience with it. I think I had a not super normal experience with figure skating because I had a mom and coach who cared about me as a person before a figure skater. And I know that there are
Mm-hmm.
a lot of young skaters that unfortunately didn't have that experience where like it was kind of just like you will be the best of the best, you will go to the Olympics, you will, like, and
Yeah.
my mom like kept me in it because I liked it and I was good at it and it was fun and it was good exercise, and and my coach, I loved my coach, and she was always encouraging and also really good about um, she obviously coached me on the ice, but she was also about formation of the whole person, like a lot of her lessons uh, stuck with me off the ice and helped me grow into,
Yeah.
who I am. So yeah, I think it's demanding. I definitely, if I wanted to be at an elite level, um, it would have been a lot more demanding than it was for me. But it was, I think for me, well, I'll say it this way: for if you want to get to a high level, very demanding. You have to be very disciplined, and a lot of my
Yeah.
friends, like, they competed at very high levels, and they really didn't have social lives, and they uh, would wake up at 5 in the morning to skate before school, and then skate after school for hours, and then they'd have their off ice training and stuff. And I did off ice too. I did those kind of things. But for me, I stayed in the division that was more just, it was competitive, but it was more fun, and it wasn't like the track
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
take yeah, to get to the Olympics. But for me, it was demanding in the sense that, like, I put the pressure on myself, and my coach put the pressure on me, a healthy pressure to help me do better for me, and um I still ate crap, and I still, yeah,
Nice. That's living life.
yeah, I still hung out with my friends. I still did the beach. I had a lot of things I liked to do as a kid. I feel like I still had a normal childhood, um, because
Mm.
it wasn't, the goal wasn't to be a professional figure skater. It was, this is something I'm going to do for my exercise, for fun. I love it. And I quit when I was 17 because I had wrestled for about a year and a half with kind of falling out of love with it. And at that point,
Yeah.
I was going to go off to college, and it was like, well, we're not, it's an expensive sport, and if you're not really going to take it seriously anymore, like, we kind of have to make that decision.
Call quits on this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was really hard. I really didn't want to. It was emotional, and it was, but I think it was kind of the right thing to do at the time, because I think I would have driven myself into a wall and just, like, hung up my skates for good had I just tried to push through it.
Yeah. Um. So how, and why were you falling out of love with figure skating?
It was around the same time that I was really getting into music. I was like 16. And so,
Yeah.
like, for that whole year, because I quit my senior year of high school, I think, when I was 17. And I think I was just, like I said, like, finding other things that I really liked. And I also got injured. I don't know how I forgot about this, but I got injured in middle school. I started having knee problems, and
Mm.
yeah, so I had to wear a knee brace, like, every time I skated. But
You were
then
the knee brace girl in
I
class?
know. I
Oh
mean, I
man.
brought it to school sometimes. I remember, like, wearing it over my jeans so that people would ask me, like, what.
Oh gosh. No, you didn't. Oh
I
gosh.
was 12. Give it a break.
What's wrong, Hayley?
don't, don't make me
Tell me what
laugh.
happened.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna go into a coughing fit. No, yeah, but I got injured, and we found out, like, in high school, that it was patellar tendonitis, and that was kind of, basically, it was just a huge setback in my career. It was like, all right, everything's going to take a little longer for me to do, because now I can't jump for X amount of months, because it's too much strain
Yeah.
on my knee. And then I snapped my rotator cuffs. And so it was like, now I have to go to physical
Oof.
therapy for my knee and my shoulders. And so it's just like all these injuries. And it was like, all my friends are working on their triple jumps, and I am back to starting my doubles again because I got injured and couldn't jump for this long. So it was just kind of like, I don't see a future where I'm going to be enjoying this for a long time and continuously getting better. So I don't know. I wanted to quit on a good term. And it was before
Yeah.
college anyways. There wasn't a figure skating team at the college that I went to, so it was kind of just like, I
Right.
think that this is a safe place to say this was a good 10 years. And um you know it was, I don't know. And now I've gotten back into it and playing hockey and stuff, so I'm
Yeah.
back, and I
I was gonna say, how's that? How
yeah.
does it feel to be back doing something you were so passionate
Oh
about?
man, it feels good. it's weird. So I became a hockey fan about 2 years ago, and I from watching them every time I go to an ice rink, whether I bring my skates or not, I'm like, I want to skate. Like just being there, I just want to get out there, you know? The sounds and the smell and just like the feel of it and watching other people. I think that's just always going to be ingrained in me. Um
Right.
so when I would go to hockey games or watch hockey on TV, all I was thinking was, "Oh my gosh, I want to skate." And so I put my skates back on for the first time in okay, I was 21, so it was like 4 years, 5 years, I don't know. And I uh, just went out, started trying things again, was really bad. And so for the past like 2 years, kind of just getting back out there.
Relearning.
Yeah, relearning, and I'm bad at everything, and it's frustrating. And, um, I've realized that I have to go back to basics, and like I can do like old jumps, old spins and stuff fine, but like my shoulders and my hips aren't aligned anymore the way that they used to, and it's like it's not really muscle memory.
Yeah.
It's like I have to reteach my muscles because
Yeah.
it's been a long time. And then also like learning how to play hockey are it's a completely different um way that you even stand and like put pressure on your feet, and it's just so my whole body's confused basically. Trying to like
Where
relearn.
am I? What am I doing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it doesn't know every time I'm on the ice, but it's fun. It feels really good. And I think um because I started to learn how to play hockey, I guess like officially like this time last year, and I think that's been really nice to come back to the ice rink and the skating world in a new way that's really challenging, because it's
Yeah.
almost like a welcome back, and it feels like home, but it's like this new thing where it's like it's okay that I'm bad at it because it's new, and it's I don't know. I
Yeah.
love trying new sports and new things and things that I'm not good at. So I don't know. It's been fun.
Yeah, new almost gets rid of that pressure,
Yeah.
so to
Yeah.
speak. And no pressure usually means a little more
Yeah.
fun. That's interesting because I last year I started trying to play baseball
Mhm.
again after having taken a few years off, and I had a very similar experience of like every time I went up to the plate, I was whiffing
Yeah.
pretty good,
Mhm.
and it's just I don't know. It's humbling in a weird way. It's like humbling but satisfying to know that you're doing something you once loved and you still have this like you still get this sense of fulfillment out of
Yeah.
it. Um,
Yeah, it's a
so that's
yeah, it's
get it
just it's just
you.
a weird thing. Like I have this like motto that I kind of developed a couple years ago to try something new and be bad at it and try it again. And like that's just and I like it. Like I really like being bad at something because I know I can only get better. And I guess it's, you know, you can incorporate that in going back to skating or going back to even music or whatever it is that I'm redoing, and be a little forgiving if you suck, you know. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's the whole thing about overthinking. Just like have fun with it.
Yeah, and that's a good point. I think that's been like an underlying tone of most of what we talked about is like this need for perfectionism,
Mhm.
but like the willingness to spit out grace to everybody else, but not
Yeah.
yourself is
Why do we do that?
is a tough character flaw, you know.
Yeah, gosh, it's so frustrating. Oh man.
But it's growth.
That's true. It is.
Okay. Um, so now I feel like we've also kind of we've jumped on and off of this topic, and it's mental health,
Mm.
and you have been like vulnerable and outspoken about these things
Mhm.
in such an honest and true form. Um, and here's what I know, and you can fill in whatever you'd like. You got sick at age 7,
Mhm.
and you developed OCD,
Mhm.
and you had
Mhm.
anxiety. Um, what was it like knowing and growing up with something like that at such a young age, so early
Mhm.
on?
Um. Yeah. Oh, that's correct. Yeah, and I went to therapy because at age 7 because I started getting so Um, I mean, nervous to sleep over at a friend's house, nervous to, I mean, anything. I just had like an intense fear of being away from my parents. I had an intense fear. I basically, at that age, at 7, 8 years old, thought that everything depended on me. Like the entire weight of the world was on my shoulders. Yeah, like I thought like if I didn't say like good night, God bless, I love you, like in that order to my parents, then like something bad would happen to them. Like I just had like these like extremely irrational and really um awful, like hard things for a little kid to be feeling. And um my therapist at that age was so good at helping me. And I must have gone when I was a little older, because I think I developed the patterns, and I remember seeing him when I was like 9 or 10. But anyways, he was so good at helping me realize like what it was, and it was this thing called one time learning, where I took this like, the traumatic event of me being sick, and then applying it to like all these situations that have no relation, but in my head they did,
Mm-hmm.
because I it was the way that I understood it, it was the way that my brain just made a connection between them. But yeah, it was hard. And I think when I look at it, I just feel bad for that little girl. She was so little and
Yeah.
just felt so stressed and scared. And um, I don't know. It just makes me feel bad that there was so much pressure I put on myself, to, I don't know, like save the world. Like I really, in my
Yeah.
mind, I thought it all came down to these little, we call them have to do's, because I felt like I had to do them. Like, and that was our little nickname for
Yeah.
them. And it all came down to those things. And I don't think it's that uncommon. I've talked to, people in my life who have had similar things around that age. And definitely, I mean, it's obviously, me, like, that, the anxiety and those kind of little um, things have come with me as I've grown up, even though I've like worked through the ones that I had as a kid. But yeah, I don't think it's that uncommon. I think people just might not talk about it too much.
I agree with
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, I think when I was a kid, I had similar pressure, but I didn't have. I don't know. I didn't really recognize a lot of my mental health stuff, or like more of the depression stuff,
Mm-hmm.
than anything else until I was later in high school. But I think as a kid, I always felt pressure to solve everyone's
Mm-hmm.
problems, and like adults' problems. Like if I overheard somebody having a problem as an adult, like I put it on myself to want to solve
Mm-hmm.
it. But I'm curious, backtracking your own life, have you discovered any of where those roots are? Like, why did that little girl feel that way at that age?
Yeah, there was there I mean, like, getting sick was traumatic for me, because I like physically, like, so basically, like, I can trace it back to, I went on a field trip to an aquarium, and
Mm-hmm.
I must have contracted some virus from touching all the things, where all the little kids, sticky hands are everywhere. To
Yeah.
the,
Ugh.
to this day, I like haven't gone back to that aquarium, because I'm just like, ugh. But but um, so I like physically got sick for the first time, like at my friend's house. And for some reason, it just, I thought that every time I went back to my friend's house that I would get sick. So that was like that's
Ooh.
what my therapist at the time had told me. Like that was the one time learning thing. Like I connected her kitchen to, getting sick to my stomach. And I think so. Like that was traumatic for me. And then I also at that time, like my mom's no, yeah, my mom's dad had passed away when I was 5, and then my dad's dad when I was 7, and then my mom's mom when I was 9. And so my brain made a pattern, and I thought my dad's mom would die when I was 11. Like I thought every 2 years a grandparent died. Yeah,
Jeez.
so it was like the way that my brain, I don't know why, but the way that my brain worked back then was
It's all very logical.
I,
Like it's those don't seem
yeah,
irrational in any
it was
sense.
just making patterns. And I think that that's, I mean, it kind of connects to one time learning. Like my brain was making a pattern of, if I go to this place, I got sick there once, so I'm gonna get sick there again, you know, like, and so I think there was
Yeah.
just a lot going on in my life at that time. That's a lot of you know, uh difficult and traumatic things for a little kid, like having three grandparents pass in, you know, that short of time when you're that little.
Yeah, it's a
It's a
lot.
lot to process. Yeah. So I think when I look back, I think that that kind of is a root of it. And I think because I have an amazing family, so I think a lot of I've been to I've been to a couple therapists, and some are have been amazing, and some have been, you know, not for me. And I think a lot of
Yeah.
therapists will be like, "Well, your family life, like maybe it wasn't good," and I'm like, "No, it was good." Like I, you know,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I and I'm actually really lucky and blessed that my parents acknowledged that at that young age of, you know, 8 years old, 9 years old, it's okay to take her to therapy, and it doesn't make her, you know, crazy. And like, you know, I think a lot of parents disregard mental health, and my parents were like, no, we're going to go get her help because she needs to talk to someone about this. And so I'm really lucky that therapy has always been, and mental health has always been, something to take seriously and to be unashamed of it in my household.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
amazing. Well, it's amazing that your parents were willing to go to those lengths because I mean, I don't know, but I feel like in many cases, parents would rather not accept the fact that their child is dealing with something
Mm-hmm.
significant because it's not, I mean, the other thing is like you put age into perspective and you could just say, oh, they're just a kid,
Mm-hmm.
they don't really know how they're
Yeah.
feeling, and it gets blown off or put to the
Yeah.
side. um, so kudos to your parents for
Yeah.
that. A shared experience that we both have that probably, I mean, looking back on it now, I'm sure it's probably for the best, but we've both had very low lows.
Mm-hmm.
um, can you describe when your mental health was in one of those all-time lows and then how you grew out of it?
Yeah. I'm like, which one? No, but and I shouldn't be laughing. It's not funny, but it is like it.
Yeah, same. I'm sorry.
No, 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 you're good. It's I just mean, like, I don't think, you know, for me, I can look back and it's, my heart is lighter for it, you know, so it doesn't, I don't,
Yeah, same.
but I think yeah, I think in college I experienced a lot of low lows, and uh you know, I don't know how to say this without, you know, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I definitely put myself in a position where I was just with someone that was not good for how I saw myself, and I kind of abandoned a lot of uh, positive feelings about myself, and abandoned a lot of standards I had for myself, and just my self worth. And so that was definitely like a real low low. And for me, it's funny because I thought, I don't know, I think, I mean, for one, I'm still obviously like growing so much, and there's still so many things that I'm like, oof, thought I already learned this lesson, but here I am learning it again. um, but
Yeah.
I think I got myself out of that one, like, to be candid, like, through God. Like, I'm, you know, I don't think that I have said this before, I don't know where I would be without my faith, you know. um,
Right.
and two, like, obviously my support, my family, my friends, um, and therapy, I'll say it again, like, just a good therapist really helped me get out of, you know, where I was. And um I think also, on a more personal note, it took me a long time to choose myself. And like, I feel, for side note, I feel like that saying is thrown around so often. And there's so much about like self-love, almost to the point where like I feel like we're all getting kind of selfish and we need to like, I don't know, chill. Like I think
Yeah,
self-love can be
yeah.
like,
You still got to think of
yeah,
other
we still
people.
got to be like good people and nice people, but I think in the sense that I'm talking about back then was I just was like, enough is enough here. Like I'm so tired of
Yeah,
being a doormat. I'm so tired of um feeling these things, and so I kind of got myself out of that relationship, and that was a huge step for me. But I think at this age, I'm what, 2 years out of it, and I'm full disclosure, like I'm back in therapy and getting working through things that I didn't back then um because I just didn't. I don't know. So I think professional help, I can't recommend it more. I think everybody should see a therapist. I just do. I think uh it's so, or a counselor of some sort. I think it's so, just, it's, you're not, we're not wired to keep things inside, and to have like
yeah,
someone who knows what they're talking about, and who will like, for me at least, like I do well with my therapist because she helps me see things in a way that's not just, you know, like saying, yeah, you were hurt and that sucks and everyone sucks for hurting you. Like she helps me see the other
yeah,
side. And I think that that's so significant and so important for my growth, to be able to look at the other people in situations and look at situations from different perspectives, and to see, okay, so where's somewhere where maybe this was clearly written right in front of my face and I chose to complicate it, and like things like that, where
right.
I don't know. I just think that she's super helpful in helping me uh get through things in a way that's actually helping me heal and grow, and isn't just me saying this sucks.
Affirmations.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I definitely get that. I agree with you. I think in large part there's not many who go through a childhood
Hmm.
unscathed of any trauma or a life without any
Oh
trauma,
yeah.
in varying degrees for sure. But um, I agree with you
Yeah.
there. In regards to the relationship that was putting stress on your mental state, were there any signs before you got into that relationship that you missed?
Oh my
And
gosh,
then
yeah. I sorry, finish your question. I'm just, oh my gosh.
no, that's good. Well, the other half is um, what would you say to someone that's currently in a relationship like that
Mm.
where it is damaging?
Yeah, well, first of all, yes, there were signs, and then there were also red flags. And um I think the difference being, this was my like first real relationship. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know um him very well. He didn't know me very well, and we kind of just like we're like, whatever, yeah, like this is happening, and it was exciting, but we didn't know each other very well. And I think that was a sign, that I'm not putting blame on either of us. Like that was just a sign that we
Right.
weren't ready to be in a relationship. And then there were red flags, and there were things that, in my experience, um, things I wanted for myself and standards I had for myself that I compromised, whether because I felt insecure in myself and felt like I needed him, and so I was just like, well, I'll just shove that aside because I want him, or it was things that
Hmm.
kind of, maybe his actions made me feel insecure in that same way, or made me feel like I can't leave this person. I think it's really hard to give like one piece of advice for people in situations like this, because I think it
Hmm.
varies in their situation. And my thing is always, um, I have so much empathy for people who are in situations where they can't, or they feel like they can't leave, or
Yeah,
yeah,
trapped.
yeah, if there's, a threat to their safety or their kids' safety or their family, whatever it is like that. Um, I don't even think I have um, I don't know, like I don't have a place to say anything about that other than that just breaks my heart. Um, but in my situation, like it wasn't to that level of intensity. But it definitely was an emotionally not good relationship. And
Place, yeah.
yeah, and I think my thing would be, uh, I'll say it this way: I wish if I could go back and tell like 18-year-old me, just
Hmm.
know who you are before the guy. Know who you are before you're getting into
Yeah.
this. Know who he is, really know who he is. There were things that I just ignored and I swept aside, and we communicated them, but I made the decision to say that's fine. I can put up with that, or like maybe he'll change, or
Right.
maybe this won't matter so much to me in this time, or whatever it was. And then um I think I would also tell myself, like, that was getting into the relationship. I would also tell myself throughout the relationship to almost like remember who you are, like, uh know your worth. Like, that's such a huge thing that I mean, you follow me on Instagram, I post it all the time to my story. Just know your worth. It's uh, it's such an easy thing for us to kind of brush aside when we're getting attention or affection or whatever
Hmm.
from whoever it is. And um I can look back on my relationship and say, oh, wow, like those were two people who didn't know each other, didn't know ourselves. And, I've talked to him since, and it's fine. Like, you know, it's there's no hard feelings there. It's more just like, I feel bad for younger me for not knowing who I was and not being able to say, this doesn't serve me. Is, this isn't good for me. This is making me sad all the time. And
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
if it's making you sad all the time, like, that's not love. That's not good, you know?
If you stop liking who you are or
Yeah.
who you're becoming.
Yeah. Oh, that's huge. Yeah. And, or if you like, I mean, I started not even knowing who I was. I just was like acting in a way that was so different from who I was at my core. And I remember, because we were on and off, and every time we would break up, I remember like going back to who I was and like just feeling so like at peace and excited to know me. And I think it's really important for everybody to have a little bit of time in their young adult life of being single and just getting to know themselves and like really knowing themselves. And I'm still at that point where I'm like, yeah, I've been single for a couple years, but I don't know if I've ever fully committed to just, let's just not even think about, like when I go out, like not even think about if a guy's going to talk to me or anything. Let's just
Right.
enjoy this season of singlehood and um, all the opportunities that I have right now that I won't have, in the future when I have other people that depend on me.
Yeah. That's that's for certain.
Yeah.
It's like it's being grounded in who you are, and I think the other thing is like those little temptations.
Mm,
Like it's like it's instant gratification in a person.
yeah.
It's the reason you text someone at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
It's the reason you go on
Yeah.
Tinder. And
Tender, chicken tender.
it's the reason you order
Oh my
chicken
god, I
tenders.
want them. It sounds so good.
Go on Wendy's Twitter.
Oh my gosh. No, you're right. Yeah.
But
Yeah, it's that's also a thing that I have been trying to instill in a couple girlfriends of mine and in myself too is, you know, um first of all, you don't always need to have a person. Um and I'm like flirty by nature, and so I just like to flirt. I just like, you know,
a big old
I'm a
flirt.
big old stinking flirt. But it's like it's uh I don't know, something that I'm trying to to really think about is like, again, with intentionality, like, what am I doing here? Like, I was talking to someone recently, and I brought up intentions, and I'm like, we should talk about what intentions are going into this. And I think that's just, I don't know, another thing for whether you're dating or single. Like, am I getting on this dating app because I'm actually in a space where I want to meet somebody and can emotionally, you know, give in this relationship or in this process, whatever? Or am I on it just because I want to feel a little good about myself? And um, I think for
Yeah,
me, like, the second reason isn't enough. And I always catch myself because I'll get them, and then about 20 minutes later, I'm like, I can't, and I delete it. Like,
cannot
I
do
just
it.
can't
Yeah,
do it. And I just know that, like, my reasoning here is just so I feel a little better about myself, or maybe I'll go out on a date, but I don't know. I just want to meet someone authentically, so that's just like a thing. That's just a personal
for
preference.
sure.
But yeah, uh, I think my friends and I at this age were kind of all in the same boat of like trying to figure out like who are we with no one else in the picture, And I think it's important as young women and men to to learn, and that's we're just trying to navigate it.
I agree with that. That's a good question to ask
Yeah,
yourself. Who am I? Um, but really though, like it's tough to
yeah.
know. I'm curious about New Year's Eve, 2017.
Oh no,
You had you had a you had quite the
I
experience, and
did.
I would love to hear the story from you because I don't think I've actually ever heard this
Yeah,
story from you.
yeah. I mean, I'm gonna assume you're referencing the car crash.
Oh yeah, that's what I'm
Yeah,
referencing.
yeah. So, because there was a lot that happened on New Year's Eve,
Yep.
2017. You scared me there for a second. Um,
No, yeah, I'm going with the car crash. I think I made a pretty
yeah.
good one.
um, yeah. So I was home alone, and I think my parents were out at some party, or I don't know. My brother was out, whatever, and uh,
Parents were
my parents
raging,
were
and you
fat
and you stayed
raging,
in.
and I was sitting at home.
Uh,
No, but I was leaving my house. I was getting ready to go pick up my friend, and I think that I decided to go turn on the TV, or I did something like just so it like looked like people were home or whatever. So like the little precautions we do, or I turned out the
yeah,
light, or I did something. Um, so there was like a 30-second interval of when I like stepped out the door at first, turned around to go do that like last thing that I did, um, and then I went back outside, and I was walking across the street. I had just made it onto the sidewalk across the street when I heard like this skidding, this bang, and I just was like, my back was, like facing this car crash that had happened behind me or was happening behind me. And I kind of just like for a split second was like, oh, okay, like I'm about to get hit by this car. Like I know that it's
man.
right there. Um, and I didn't, luckily. And I turned around, and one car was halfway in my lawn in my front of my house, and the other car was like just inches away from me, away from the sidewalk that I had just stepped on. And so,
Man,
had I decided to spend, a couple extra seconds in the house, I would have been between those two cars crossing that street. So that was a really uh, scary. Like, I was shaken up, like, and it was an interesting time in my mental health anyways, because um I had extreme anxiety, and I was already nervous because it was New Year's, and I was taking going.
Attention library patrons, the time is now 4:30. The
oh
library is
man.
closing in 30 minutes.
We love that.
Library cards will be issued until 10 minutes before closing. Please finalize your selections and bring them to the front for checkout. Library computers will be shut down before
Wow, this
It
is the
is
longest
really
announcement of my
long.
life. Oh my god.
please do so now. Library restrooms will be closed in 20 minutes. Due to high
Oh,
Jeez.
okay.
Oh man. It's jeez, you're gonna talk about tomorrow?
That
Oh
was
gosh, yeah, that
amazing.
one's not gonna make it. That announcement is not. Actually, you know what? Keep it. We're
Oh
real
my
here.
gosh, that was amazing. I was a little scared, but we're fine. No, yeah. So I was already, I had anxiety. I was already nervous because my friend and I were going out, and it was kind of a little date going on. So I was nervous about that. And
Oh.
I, so I was like shook up from it, and I just, I went about my business, went and picked him up, and we sat in my car just for a little bit before leaving, so I could just like regroup. But the reason it's significant to me, and the reason like kind of the story, is because there have been times when I'm doing not great and I'm low, and there was one time where I was driving and I just was like so sad. I had been through it. There was just a really not great situation I was in, and I remember just thinking like, gosh, I wish I could crash my car. Like, I wish it could just be done, like, because I was thinking that's better than
Yeah.
getting through this. And then I remembered that moment on New Year's 2017, and remembered uh, there was a situation where I could have been in the middle of a wreck, and I mean, pretty much would have killed me. Like, there was,
Oh, for sure.
I would have been sandwiched between the two of them. Um, and it reminded me of that. I don't want to say like fresh start or anything, but like a fresh perspective on, uh, just like God's will, and the plan for my life that I don't have control over, um, and also just, you know, I don't think that situation, obviously didn't cure my mental health, but it's a good way for me to look
Right.
back and be like, look, I could have died that night. Technically, we could have died any day. You never know. I'm
Yeah.
a surfer. I could get pummeled by a wave or eaten by a shark or whatever. Like, anytime I could get a
Hmm.
deadly concussion on the ice. Like, there are so many ways that like my life could end, but it hasn't, and I'm here, and I don't want to be the reason my life ends. And
Yeah.
so that was just a good, I don't know, a really scary but good experience for me to look back on, and appreciate that I am here and that I'm given these um I don't know, these extra days to keep on figuring things out. you know
Yeah. That is such a wild reminder
yeah.
too. Like, I I can only imagine that every time you're getting to a place like that, you hear the sound
Mm,
of the car.
yeah.
You know. So I'm happy you didn't get sandwiched, is what I'm
Thank
saying.
you. I am
I'm
too.
happy you're here.
Thank you. We can agree
Good.
on
I'm
that.
glad to hear it. Okay. This is the second to last
All right,
question,
hit me with it.
if you're
I'm
ready for it.
ready.
This is coming from one of your blog posts, and I don't necessarily want you to go into the interaction you
Mm-hmm.
had with the guy,
Mm,
um, but the blog post was about a guy who kissed you when you repeatedly told him
mm-hmm.
no. What do you wish guys would know outside of the obvious no means no? Like, yeah,
That's, you know what?
because
Yeah.
mm-hmm,
It's, I look back on that. It's interesting because uh, I don't know, I've been in situations since that are similar. And I think, like, also I've, you know, seen that guy since, and I don't harbor bad feelings towards him or anything. I, I think from this perspective, looking back, like, he was, well, maybe a little younger than me, like that I am right now. And everyone
mm-hmm,
my age were dumb. So like, I'm not like giving him an excuse, but I also think like, I think, yeah, I think it was a bad experience. It was lame, and I don't, just putting that out there, that I don't like hate him or anything. But
that's good.
yeah, I think, gosh, that's a tough question. I think not just guys. I think everyone should know. Um, Sometimes we want something and then we don't. Like, I went into that night initially, like, full disclosure, like, I wanted his attention, and I
Yeah.
likely knew in the back of my head that he wanted to hang out with me because he thought we, would whatever. And I knew getting in his car, or I knew before he got there, I was like, oh man, never mind. Like, I just freaked out. I knew getting in his car, never
Yeah.
mind, but I didn't say anything until it was, um, you know, until we were in that moment. And I think something that I don't know if I mean, probably guys go through it too, but I think sometimes girls, we don't really know how to just stop it in its tracks and say, you know what, never mind, like this.
Yeah. Clean rejection is always
Yeah,
tough.
and I just like changed my mind, and like you know I think I did want to kiss him, and this is from other experiences too, like I've been in experiences since then where it's like you kiss someone and then I'm like, ugh, you know what, never mind. Like, I don't want to be, and it's nothing.
Not
It's
worth
and
it.
it's
Yeah.
not even like against them or anything. It's just like I don't want to be doing this anymore. I changed my mind. But like, how do we say that to people? And that's such a I think it's okay to say. I think it's okay to be like, I thought I wanted this and I don't, like, I'm so sorry for, you know, leading us into this situation or whatever. Sorry if you want something more from me, but this is, I think we just need to stop being so um worried about hurting the other person's feelings, because we should never ever 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 do something we don't want to do. Um
Yeah.
and I think it's hard. And then there are of course situations, where um where you don't really have a choice, and those are awful. And I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know how to speak about it, cuz it's just a weird thing. If any of that made sense.
Yeah. It definitely makes sense. I think I think the notion of anytime you're uncomfortable is a good time to to nip it in the
Yeah.
bud.
But there are times where you don't feel
And
like, for I like, speaking as a woman, like there are times where you don't feel safe saying no.
oh
And
yeah,
that's just a
yeah,
whole different ballpark, like, um for whatever reason it is. But there are just times where, like I said, like there are, like, you're being pressured, you're being forced, god forbid, like whatever it is. And there are just times where, um I don't know, that's where I'm like, I don't even think I can say, just say no, just tell him no, because it's like,
yeah.
it's
That's
sometimes, yeah.
it's
Yeah,
threatening.
that's the thing. And like, obviously it's not just women, like, I just it's really hard. And that's why I think, I don't know, if you have, like, I don't know, I don't even know how to talk about it. It's just it's just hard.
It's all preventative measures. Like anytime you can prevent yourself from finding yourself in those scenarios, like that's rule
Yeah,
number
if
one.
you
But
can,
like you're
yeah.
saying, once you're in them, that's it's almost like or I have active shooter training at work.
Hmm.
It almost feels like run fight, run hide fight
Yeah.
is the best thing you can do. But
Yeah, it's just, yeah, I don't even know.
that's a tough one. Hayley, this podcast is coming to an end, and I've loved every single second of it. I'm so happy we finally got to
Me
do something
too,
together.
me too.
And the final question is though, what since this is a life strategy podcast, what life strategy are we taking away from this podcast?
Mm. You know, I think we've talked a lot about intentionality and perfectionism, and where that ties into being a creative person, and, making whatever type of thing that we make. Um, I think I want to take away doing things that are good, for good, for me, for people, whatever it is. Like, I think I don't know. I feel like we talked about how we kind of need to ditch the perfectionism and just do good things for people, for
Yeah.
me, for the fun of it, for, and um, I don't know. I think that's what I would take away. Just keep having fun with it.
Yeah. I think mine is similar. Mine's along those lines of um, like show yourself grace in addition to showing other people
Mm.
grace, especially in the perfectionism. And then I think the other thing that I got from this podcast is self love is so important, but it is no excuse to not take care of other people.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Take care of ourselves, take care of other people, take care of the planet.
Amen. Take
Amen.
care of consumerism.
Take care of Wendy's.
Wendy's, the tenders are
Take
back.
care
Spicy chicken
of the
nuggets.
Kool-Aid man. Take care.
Do your part. Follow the Pop Tart
Yeah, there
account
you
on
go.
Twitter.
That's their new slogan.
Do your part.
Follow Pop
Follow
Tart.
Pop Tart.
It's perfect.
Hayley, where can we find? It is perfect. Hayley, where can we find you on the internet? I wanna know.
Oh, wow. You can find me at Hayley Rueger on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find me on the YouTube. I'm going to be honest, I don't know my link. I don't know. I think if you just
YouTube.com/you.
it's just look me up. No, I think it's youtube.com/Hayley Rueger as well. I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. I gotta say, your Twitter game is fire.
Thank you.
You got tweets flowing
Got tweets for days.
from the
Yep,
heart.
that's right.
Yeah, love that. So please follow her on Twitter. It's definitely where she comes alive, and you can see her interact with brands. It's wonderful.
Man, thank you.
Okay, Hayley, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
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 Are we done?
Okay, bye.
Bye.